Hey everybody, Scott Spreitzer here with Robert Ferringo. We are DocSports.com, and we're covering all the games in Week 1. The lines are out there, the betting action's coming in. We're going to get to the Eagles and the Redskins, little divisional clash on this report. First, a real quick note. If you've yet to become a member, DocSports.com, just want to give it a trial run. It's a cool way to do it. You click on that link below the video, you get yourself set up for a free $60 account, and the best thing is you can use those free $60 on any of Robert's daily picks, any of my daily picks, anybody else on the roster at DocSports.com. All right, let's talk about this divisional matchup, Robert. And I know you've got some real nice stats, betting stats, as far as favorites, divisional road favorites in Week 1 are concerned. And that's what we got here. The Eagles laying 6, the total 45. And as I checked around on, I'm going to say about 24 hours before we shot this video, I found that anywhere from 85 to 90% of the tickets are on, as you guessed it, the Philadelphia Eagles minus the points. No shocker at all.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all about that. That's one of those muscle memory bets, from the last few years. Washington's been terrible. Philadelphia's been excellent. You see the two of them play. You just lay the points, especially when you look at the recent history of the series. The Eagles have won 6 straight. 5 of the 6 have been by double digits. And the only reason that 6th win wasn't by double digits was last year Washington scored a garbage time touchdown with 5 seconds left to turn an 11-point loss into a 4-point loss. So Philadelphia has really manhandled Washington in this series. But you touched on it before. I got a little curious, got a lot of time on my hands like everybody does these days. So I went back over the last decade to see how road favorites in Week 1 fared on the road. And you wouldn't be surprised on this, a sharp guy like yourself, guy that loves the home dogs, but it's been about a 50-50 proposition. It's actually been a losing proposition for road favorites in Week 1. They're 26 and 28 against the spread. But if you narrow that down to divisional road favorites, those teams are only 5 and 15 against the spread, the favorites that is, laying the points to divisional opponents. I think that that's too much to ignore in this situation, among some other reasons to like the Redskins.
Yeah, the good news for the Skins, Philly, they're getting up there in age. They're getting a little bit long in the tooth. Carson Wentz is healthy, but he's prone to injury. That doesn't mean that something's going to happen in or before this particular game. But when you look at the Skins, also, I love the fact that they hired Ron Rivera. He's a no-nonsense type of coach who I think can put Daniel Snyder in his place. And then I like what they've done up front on defense, and not just because they went out and got Chase Young. He's certainly another piece to the puzzle. He might get 10 sacks in his rookie season, but it's also because he's surrounded up front by some really talented younger players for the Skins. So I guess what I'm trying to say, Robert, is the foundation is there for Washington to start turning things around. I don't think they're going to win 6 or 7 games this year. I absolutely do not. But I think that they're dangerous in this spot getting the points from Philly.
I actually disagree with you a little bit there on what their ceiling is and what their potential is. The one person I don't like on this team is Dwayne Haskins. I think he's a disaster. He's never going to be a good NFL quarterback. I can call that right now. But like you said, them signing Ron Rivera was, next to the DeAndre Hopkins trade, was the best move any team made this offseason. Rivera has been one of the premier defensive minds in the NFL of the last 20 years, going through his career in Carolina and back to his time with the Bears. Okay, he fits in perfectly with the wealth of young talent that they have on that team. Shift to the offensive side of the ball, they still have a solid offensive line, and they have one of the best stable of running backs in the NFL. The only question is quarterback. But Rivera brought Kyle Allen with him from Carolina to Washington. If he beats out Haskins for that job, I think Washington is an undervalued, underrated team compared to Philadelphia, which is still coasting by on, 3 years ago they won the Super Bowl, and I recognize a lot of these names for my fantasy team with Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson. I see two teams going in opposite directions right now, and if Washington can stabilize and get some productive play out of that quarterback position, I like the foundation, what they have in place, and I think Ron Rivera is exactly the guy to tap into that potential.
I can see what you're saying. I'm a big Ron Rivera fan, and that goes back throughout his career at Carolina, even as an assistant at one point before taking the head coaching job with the Panthers. I think it comes down to Haskins. That's the one thing that we absolutely, positively agree on. I do think Philly's coming down a little bit. They're on that other side of the hill of the team that won the Super Bowl, and Peterson kind of was able to buy himself a couple of years for that win, and he should. He's a good coach. But as far as Haskins is concerned, And maybe you're right. Maybe he'll be replaced at some point during the season. But, boy, I just don't think he has the goods. He hasn't had enough time, high school, college, just never got the starts he needed, I think, to reach the potential of the fact that he hit the genetic lottery. And he just hasn't been able to put that together on a football field. And learning the game at the quarterback position at NFL speed levels,
Not in the NFL.
boy, that's pretty scary. I think a 6-win season for the Skins, but I like him in this particular game, Robert.
Yeah, again, I feel like Washington really has the potential to have a top 10 defense this year. When you look at the talent, when you look at the scheme that Rivera comes in, I also think that they could have a running game in the top half of the season. So it all comes down to quarterback play. If they can get someone in there that can minimize turnovers, make some throws, I think we could see kind of a grinder defense and run the ball type of team emerge out of Washington, and they could be tough to tangle with in a really bad division. Let's not forget that the NFC East was the worst division in the NFL last year. I feel like it's wide open again this year. Washington, keep an eye out. Again, if they move away from Haskins early, they could be a team that way exceeds expectations this year.
He's Robert Ferringo. I'm Scott Spreitzer. We are DocSports.com. Don't forget about the $60 free account. Get started by clicking on the link below the video if you're not yet a member at DocSports.com, and check out all the Week 1 videos from Robert and myself. We got more coming up. Watch them all. Let's get those books in Week 1 and get the boys behind the counter, make it pay for some bad numbers.